Hello everyone, I'm Harvey and welcome to a new video on my YouTube channel. As you can see, I finished 4th overall and 1st in England in the 2021 season in FPL, and I would like to share some tips and tricks to help you along your FPL journey. Let's dive straight into it. So reviewing last week's points in game week 6, so I got 74 overall, which is 24 above the average. So Palmer got 4 goals and scored a 25 pointer, which I'm absolutely not going to complain about. Semenyo popped up with a goal, so did Mbeumo and Rodgers. Robertson got a surprise clean sheet away from home at Nottingham Forest. So they're the positives really, and the negatives. So Raya didn't actually keep a clean sheet at home against Leicester, which I thought was a banker, the one that couldn't fail, but it was the one that did fail. And Konsa conceded 2 against Ipswich away, which again was a bit of a surprise. But there are people that have at least 2 Arsenal defenders, so Raya's clean sheet wipeout isn't the end of the world. Obviously Calvert-Lewin got booked for only a 1-pointer. Haaland blanked. But yeah, those 4 players are the real negatives really. Robertson obviously got a blank, but so did Trent as well, and Trent actually got booked, so technically Robertson got 1 more point than Trent. So yeah, it's not too bad. But moving on to next week, after climbing the ranks to just inside the top 700k, so yeah, it's a big improvement from being 1.7 mil last game week, so onwards and upwards. Now moving on to the possible transfers for game week 7. The one that sticks out like a sore thumb is João Pedro at the moment. Obviously, I've seen the Hertzler press conference and he's confirmed that he's not ready for game week 7, and yeah, it's a bit unknown really as to when he's gonna return, so he's possibly a transfer out this week alongside either Robinson in the defence or Robertson, not to get confused. But yeah, I feel like my defence needs a few transfers in the next couple of game weeks. Robertson obviously still keeping his place in that Liverpool team, but I think Tsimikas will eventually take minutes from him, and it did so in the Champions League midweek as well. So he might be a transfer out just to free up some funds for João Pedro to be upgraded to someone like Solanke, but we'll go through that in a minute. The sensible move for this week will probably be Robinson to Lewis, because I really want Lewis in my team, even though he might be a minute's risk. I think that 2 out of 3 games Lewis is a lot better than a normal 4.5 defender, so I think the upside is there and it will come eventually with Lewis. So that would be the sensible game week transfer for me, but obviously I might need Robinson in the future because Fulham's fixtures aren't actually that bad coming up, if it eventually loads. So yeah, obviously they've got City away next week, but after that there's a few fixtures in there that I don't mind playing him for. So yeah, I'll consider that obviously if I keep him, but he might be a transfer out this week. Just to moving on to Lewis, who is actually quite popular transfer in this week, as you can see, 120,000 transfers in, but I can see where the hype is coming from. In midweek in the Champions League fixture, he got an assist and was the man of the match across a few sites as well. So yeah, he was just so attacking, and he put up 1.6 expected goal involvement, so that for a defender is absolutely absurd. And obviously you can see the sea of green coming up with the fixtures. So consideration for this week in terms of transfers, but yeah, they're the main 3 players that I'm looking at selling this week. It won't be all 3 of them. It'll either be Robertson and João Pedro or Robinson on his own. But yeah, just to discuss the 2 free transfers that I might use for Robertson and João Pedro. So the possibility is, obviously I've got 0.5 in the bank anyway. If I just remove these 2 players, obviously I've got 12 million to spend on two positions. So the forward that I really want for this week, and I'd recommend buying, is Dominic Solanke. He's just a talisman for Tottenham, and I believe Heung-min Son is a doubt for game week 7 as well. So that's Solanke pretty much nailed on pens for Tottenham. And the fixtures coming up, apart from City away, are just unbelievable really. You don't need to move him on until possibly game week 20, but yeah, I think he'll just be a mainstay in the team, and he's someone that I'm definitely looking at bringing in. If you want to go elsewhere, obviously Nicholas Jackson, the fixtures are starting to turn and he's already risen up to 7.9 from 7.5 already, so I would steer clear of him. Maybe there's an opportunity in the future to bring him in, but just look at his fixtures from Liverpool away onwards. He's not an attractive buy, I don't think, because obviously they've got Newcastle at home, Man United away, which isn't a bad fixture because their defence are shambles at the moment, and then Arsenal at home, which is probably the hardest fixture in the calendar. So yeah, I'll steer clear of him. Raul is a decent cheap option, but again, the fixture turn. He's on penalties, but I'm not sure if he's got that spot nailed yet, because obviously he's scored 3 and 3, I believe, and he's taken the spot from Muniz, but it's only a matter of time before Muniz comes back into the team, I think. Obviously Delap, he's an excellent choice really, 5.6, and his fixtures are unbelievable coming up. That's why I own Greaves from Ipswich Town anyway, just because of these fixtures, and obviously he's a bench player for me. But yeah, Delap, he looks really lively against Villa, but before that his ex-goal involvements were actually pretty poor, so I wouldn't jump to buy him yet, even though his fixtures are really good. So I think he's the best cheap striker if you want to go there. Vardy, again, his fixtures are decent coming up, but I'm not sure if he's at the races at the moment. He hasn't had that many goal scoring opportunities so far this season, so again, I would hold off on him. I'd definitely prefer Delap to him. But yeah, in terms of other options that I can possibly afford, obviously Watkins is out of that bracket and Havertz is as well, but they're both excellent options if you want to go there. Welbeck, again, Brighton's fixtures change around about now. Obviously Wolves at home is a decent fixture, but either side of that, they do get a bit difficult, which is partly why I want to sell João Pedro anyway, just because obviously he's injured at the moment, so he's not actually playing, but they actually come across Liverpool away and City at home in 10 and 11, so yeah, maybe past 12 or past 11 rather, from 12 onwards the fixtures are actually decent, so maybe I could hold on to him until then. But again, I'm not sure if there's any certainty of when João Pedro will be back, but I do like Welbeck because obviously João Pedro is out at the moment, so I think he's got that striker spot nailed at the moment if you want to go there. Duran is a bench warmer at the moment, but I do think there will be an opportunity to buy him in the future where he does have a nailed spot in that starting 11 for Villa, because he scored again midweek in the Champions League. He's just an outstanding striker really, not someone that you want to keep on your bench every week. But yeah, again, their fixtures turn around about game week 10. So yeah, I'm not in a rush to bring him in, and certainly not when he's not starting. So yeah, he's not really a consideration. The only other name on this list really that's worth buying if you want to is Chris Wood. As we understand, he is on penalties, as we found out, against Brighton away. So if you want to go there, I don't mind it, and the fixtures aren't bad coming up, apart from Arsenal away and City away in 12 and 14. But yeah, again, he's a lovely cheap striker if you want to go there. But yeah, I'm not going there myself. So looking at my potential moves for this week, the only striker that I want to bring in is Solanke, so it probably will be him, and then that means that I've only got 4.4 in my defensive spot to spend, so obviously I can't afford Van der Ven or a 4.5 defender, but if I can just go to affordable, as you can see, I can buy Ait-Nouri, who was actually really lively against Liverpool, and Wolves fixtures from around about game week 9 and 10 onwards, yeah, you can see they're just unbelievable, and at points he does play at left wing or around about that position as a defender, so yeah, I might go there, even though there's a clash with obviously Mbeumo and Ait-Nouri. I wouldn't worry too much about the clashes if you have an attacker playing against one of your defenders, because you buy them for the long term really, you don't buy them for that exact game week. So yeah, he's definitely the favourite to come into my team for this week. Obviously that would mean that my defence is pretty poor in terms of quality, but yeah, I'm very top heavy in terms of my attackers and midfielders, but I think that's just a differential really, because not many other fantasy Premier League managers actually deploy that kind of approach to their FPL team. So yeah, I might consider that. But yeah, the defence is lacking in terms of a premium asset. But I can always free up money elsewhere. For example, Salah maybe to Saka along the line. But yeah, that will be most likely the move. I'm probably about 60-40 in terms of going Robertson and João Pedro out to Solanke and Aït-Nouri. So 60% in favour of doing that, or 40% in favour of going Robinson to Lewis. But yeah, you'll find out in next week's video when I go through my points tally. But yeah, hopefully that will be the right move. And in terms of how the team sets up, obviously I'm convinced Haaland's going to be my captain again, even though he blanked against Newcastle. He's just such a talisman for City, and he's on penalties obviously, so I can see this being a 4 or 5-0 fixture for Haaland and him coming away with a hat-trick. So if you don't captain that, then obviously you plummet down the ranks. The only other consideration would probably be Salah or maybe Palmer or even Mbeumo, but again, I'm not convinced on those captaincy options myself. So what's the point in going against Haaland when you haven't got a better option? But yeah, in terms of the defence, obviously if I make those moves, Robertson will become Aït-Nouri, so he will be playing Brentford away. And we've got Greaves, 4 million defender, in against West Ham away. It's not the end of the world because West Ham have been awful so far this season. But yeah, Ipswich again, I'm not defensively sound, so that might be a bit of a punt, which is why I'm maybe starting to lean towards Robinson out to Lewis, because obviously Lewis will come into in for Greaves rather, and he'll play Fulham at home. So that'll be a back line of Lewis, Concert and Robertson. So I think that's a lot stronger than if I was to bring in Solanke this week. So maybe the 60-40s become 50-50 at the moment in terms of what moves I'll make this week. Obviously Rise in net, Southampton at home. Yeah, if you've got an Arsenal defender, I'm quite jealous because I see this being a banker of a clean sheet. Although Southampton like to attack even when they're losing, I still feel that this will be a banker of a clean sheet. But I did say that last week against Leicester, and look what happened. So yeah, in terms of the rest of the team, obviously Palmer, I'm really glad to have him. I've seen a lot of people break up their teams just to bring him in this week. I was actually planning on selling him next week, but after his 4-goal haul against Brighton, I'm not sure I need to do that. And especially from game week 12 onwards, the fixtures just really turn quite nicely. So I might just hold on to him for now because yeah, lots of people are trying to bring him in. João Pedro might come in for Rodgers because obviously I'll go Solanke and Aït-Nouri if I make that move. But again, I think Rodgers against United isn't a bad fixture. So I might just replace Robinson with Lewis this week just to play it safe a little bit, even though Lewis is a minute's risk. But I just see the high upside coming from his performances so far this season. And Walker's actually been pretty poor, so he's his direct replacement in the team. So yeah, I could see Lewis potentially getting a goal and assist against Fulham, and maybe a clean sheet as well. So that'll be a haul in itself. But yeah, that's basically the team. Obviously, Salah's vice at the moment. It could be Palmer or Mbeumo, as I've discussed previously. But yeah, definitely Haaland captain for me. And let's hope that I get another green arrow and move higher than my 600k at the moment. Obviously, it's early days in terms of the season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So yeah, at this point in the season, I wouldn't worry too much about your rank, even if you're further below than me at the moment. So yeah, it's obviously a long season. But yeah, hopefully this week will be a good week for me in terms of points. And yeah, I'll catch up next week. That's it for this week. If you enjoyed the video, if you could please like, subscribe and comment on what I should do next, that'd be brilliant. See you in the next one.